PTF and JK back with you, continuing coverage of Santa Anita's winter spring meet. We're going to look at this pick 6 on Saturday. A little bit of a calm before the storm weekend. It's good racing, but in terms of the big ticket stuff, that March 1st day, Ultimate Betting Challenge, Big Cap Day, I think they're going to have more of a stakes-laden card in store for us, but still some opportunities with this $2 pick 6 on Saturday. Kicks off at 5:30 Eastern with a maiden race on the turf. JK will bring you in right away. How do you want to light this candle?
Yeah, these first couple of races, I don't have a strong opinion. I'm going to use 2, 8, 9 in this first leg. The 2 King of Clubs, a horse who's going to be getting onto the turf for the first time. And he's bet extremely heavily that first time out. His pace figures, the way he ran that race were nice. And he's by a horse who's out of Gioponti. Excuse me, not by a horse. He's out of a horse that's by Gioponti. And that makes me feel like there's obviously going to be a little bit of grass here. You got Flavien Prat. You'd like to think Flavien hopped off and said, hey, Mark, let's try to run on the grass next time. Pretty aggressive morning line. So I'll start there. But you're still guessing a little bit. And I'm going to use the 8 and the 9 Miles Finch and the 9 Uncle Evco as the other 2 that I want to make sure that I had in the mix, just in case that short price favorite doesn't run on well. I've got some stronger, more solid opinions as we go, but they don't matter if you don't get there.
I'm with you on King of Clubs. I think I trust the horse a little bit more, just really checking all the boxes. As you mentioned, bred for turf, the dam ran her top figure on green, and, Gioponti needs no introduction really at this point. That race has produced good form. I like that about King of Clubs. Pratt had options in the race, chooses to stay here. For me, this one I think is as simple as single and move on and come back in the pick 5 if we're wrong. I'll take another look at your 8 and 9, but for me, King of Clubs definitely was one that I was comfortable taking a little bit of a stand with in this one. Let's move on to the race number 6, the starter allowance going in a mile, and I'm eager to give Doroteo a chance to go long again. I'm in the wrong race. I just looked at my Gulfstream Park notes. JK's like, what are you talking about, Doroteo? I'm a little bit disorganized today. Upstart Yankee. That's the horse I wanted to talk about. This horse was not good at all last time. Bet to even money against several of these, but there's no panicky drop. And this horse looks like the clear speed once again. Crown Magic, another runner I wanted, stepped it up last time. Maybe it was just the mud, but this horse also just turned 4, and maybe this is a new level of ability. Maybe the horse likes it around here in the San Gabriel Valley. I know I do. If this horse runs that race again, Crown Magic going to be very dangerous. 7 and 8 for me in leg B of the $2 pick 6 on Saturday. How do you see it, my friend?
Yeah, look, I'm going to use the 7 and the 8, but I'm also going to use the 4-10. If you look at the 4, Cool Wind, he's there from a figure standpoint, but his numbers, his final finishing position hasn't been great. But like I said, he's right there from a figure standpoint, which gives me a little bit of comfort in a race in which I'm going to spread. And then the 10 is another one that I wanted to make sure I had. Was bet a little bit last time. Came on, ran well enough, was wide all the way around there on a sloppy, muddy racetrack, going around 2 turns. I'd like to give that one another shot, considering the fact that he was wide all the way around there.
In terms of grading out those 4 runners you were talking about, the 4, 7, 8, and 10, how do you see it? Do you like the 4 and 10 better, or do you like my 2 better?
I'm just gonna. This is one of those. Just I'm spreading here, so there's no need for me to feel like I need to narrow them down. I'm just gonna use them all equally. I'll hold my nose. If this was the start of the sequence, I'd probably be looking to play the pick 5. I don't have a strong opinion in here.
Gotcha. Let's pivot to race number 7, the third leg of this pick. 3-year-old fillies, Calbreds going a mile on the turf. JK will keep it with you.
Couldn't find that mute button for a second. I'm going to go with the 8, kind of a single A situation with a single B in here. Odie's, I'm guessing, memory lane. Yep. When it comes to Doug O'Neill in the stretch out, I always have some confidence that he's going to be fine in that arena. And when you have a horse like Odie's memory lane, who almost wired a field going 6.5, you'd like to think they'll get to go a little bit slower going the mile. and be able to control that on the front end and be able to translate that into a win. This horse had a nice figure in that last race, and a figure that I believe is going to be good enough to beat this group. Obviously, you aren't going to want to see what's going on with this Richie Baltas first-time starter, but it's been working at San Luis Race, so you're not even going to get any workout report information there. The other one I wanted to use as a backup B horse was the one Sassafras, drawn towards the inside with tactical speed. I love when horses have tactical speed on the inside on these tighter turf courses like you see at Santa Anita and Del Mar, where they can stay in there in that position. They have speed to get in and out of spots and to hold position and be able to save that ground on the inside. So I'll use that one as a B. So single A, the 8, single B, the 1.
Okay, interesting. So the Baltus you mentioned, but you're not interested in at this stage.
No, I mean, it's just one of those situations where if I'm looking, there's nothing I can do. It's a pure guess at this point if I'm going to use him. I can't look at the workout report with him. He's not connected to the early double to see what's going on there. It'd be one of those situations that if he's taking money, he's 4-1, then maybe I'll come back on this spot, play the pick 4, using him as a single as kind of a hedge the rest of the way. But I don't want to tie him into the equity suck of all of the other things, especially with that higher minimum.
Yeah, well, that's smart. I mean, you use one pool to, I don't even want to say, I guess technically it's hedge against another, but it's not really hedging. It's now you have new information and you're, I guess leveraging is a better way of putting it. Leveraging one pool against another in a spot like this. I certainly get Odie. I had second for Odie's memory, as you mentioned, very obvious off the last fig. I just thought it was such an easy trip that I didn't want to make a top pick, but I'm definitely going to be including. I've got a goofy one, the 10 Big Whoosh, I'll mention. This horse, green as grass early on last time, nearly dumped the rider. Looked to be figuring things out as the race went along. Could be more improvement forthcoming, as we often see from these types who have those sort of educational-looking runs. And the third I'll mention is the 9 Orange Thunder, who I thought, on one hand, might be one of these fillies who makes her own trouble, but also does have plenty of areas to improve, and the established level of form not that far off what it would take to win this. 10, 8, 9 for me, 8 and the 1 for JK in race number 7 as we move to the back 3 of the pick 6 with 3-year-old maidens going 6 furlongs, a race I really wish wasn't buried in the sequence. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You mentioned before about not having info on all these horses. Now, granted, we will have some workout reports here, but this is a lot of unexposed form for the 4th race of a pick. Can you get out with the Baffords? Can you make this simple and just play the 7 Voldemort and the 8 Tis Secure based on the trainer, based on the blood, based on the sale prices? Maybe, but I do want to give a quick shout out to one I think I'm going to try to work on some tickets, and that is number 2 in this spot, King Stephen. Now, John Sheriff's not known for his work with first-time starters. Looking at Equibase, surprisingly, the overall number, like lifetime or last 5 years, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be with Sheriffs and firsters. But what I like here is you've got a Dam that won first out, and you've got a Sire Instilled Regard who's off to a good start with firsters. I'm mentioning this horse for the reasons you said before. Even as you were talking, JK, I was thinking maybe this is one I look to leverage in other pools. But if I can afford one line with the 2 on it, I'm going to put the 2 on there. What do you think? How do you separate these Baffords and anything else you want to talk about in race number 8?
Yeah, it's one of those situations. I agree. I wish I had a little bit more information. But when you have a $700,000 good magic for the Avengers group of SF and Starlight and Matikit for Baffert, and you get Flavian, I think you have a pretty good feeling that the horse can likely run. The horse has had like 12 or 13 consecutive works. Some little 10-day gaps in there, so maybe just a little cold here and there, but it's been pretty consistently working. The other thing is that I don't think they're rushing to get this horse fit. Bob will do a lot of 6 furlong works. If you look, he only had one January 13th, and then it's been a bunch of 5 furlong, 5 furlong, 5 furlong, and the last one was just a tightener of a half mile. So I think Voldemort means the best in here, and I also don't see Baffert taking a horse like Tis Secure for his big clients and Weitzman, Watson, and Pegram, who have a homebred, who likely still own the mare, and then just run this one into a buzz saw that they don't feel like it fits. I think both these horses could probably run, or they're going to give the 8 horse just a little bit of experience out there and just kind of gallop around there. I don't think that they're going to get themselves in any kind of duel. I would pick Voldemort as a pressed A, but I want to make sure that I have the other Baffert as an A as well. I don't need the others.
7 and 8. JK trying to logically get out with Baffert there in race number 8. Let's go to race number 9. We've got a downhill race. We're going 6.5 on the downhill course at the allowance level. And this is a race where I think one of the key questions will come down to scratch time in the morning. Does Noble Reflection get in? Noble Reflection not making what I'd call a positive barn switch, but the horse is in great form. Last race was probably a little better than it looked, close to a fast pace. So I definitely would want plenty of 13s on the ticket. And the other one I definitely wanted was the 6 Dancing Rinka in this spot. This race shape could unfold in a way beneficial to Dancing Rinka's closing style. I had written down 13 and 6. I'm open to ideas though, JK. Who do you like in this downhill spot?
Well, we're a little oppo here. I'm 4-5. And then I had 13 if the 13 draws in, right? So if the 13 draws in, that's obviously an important thing. The 5 for me is going to be my top choice. When you look through here, you want to find horses that have run well down the hill. 3 races back, guy named Joe, the 5 horse, ran well down the hill and did it with a fast number. He did it with a good trip too, inside pocket trip, sat comfortable. The pace wasn't particularly fast, so he still closed into that. I thought guy named Joe ran extremely well, gets Lasix for the first time as well. And then the 4, Money Makes Money, felt like the one that could take advantage of a pace situation. Flavien Prat is always pretty aggressive when it comes to those situations. I would think he'll be pretty aggressive moving forward. And if he does do that, I think that they should put themselves in a pretty good position with the best closer and the best speed.
That's a good point about the pace scenario, maybe putting things in Money Makes Money's way. My only issue with guy named Joe was just a little bit concerned off the layoff. But like I said, I'm open to ideas, and we'll think about trying to work those 2 onto some tickets as well, if I can make it make sense. And if not in the pick 6, hey, we're getting into that late part of the card. So we've got the reduced juice elevated minimum double and pick 3 with the 15% takeout we can play around with as well. A lot of ways you can go at Santa Anita depending on where your opinions are. As I say in the ad, the people listening probably just heard. The people on the YouTube channel have no idea what I'm talking about. Let's go to the nightcap, race number 10, fillies and mares at the allowance ranks. We're going a mile on the turf in this race that will pay off all these late picks. JK, what numbers will be on your tickets?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 12 in here to wrap this one up. It felt like a situation where this Phil D'Amato horse, the 2, it made the most sense from a horse, what he did last time on opening, or not opening day, but opening weekend, I suppose. The 27th would be the day after that. Thought ran extremely well. A 4 Needle Point, kind of a stranger danger, but had won a couple of races overseas. You get Frankie Dettori, an inside draw. You'd like to think Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners, the way that they get involved with horses. They didn't buy a horse that couldn't run. The 6, Tirupati, Jonathan Thomas, great name. This horse ran extremely well last time. Got a really fast number, ran well in that spot. And there's been one horse that run out of that to win. So it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about the kind of jump up in number, a lifetime best for this horse last time, but definitely deserves to be on tickets. And then the 12, Kentucky Gal to the outside, cutting back in distance, second time for Phil D'Amato. Had some trouble last time. I think this one will probably run a little bit better this time around. I'm going to need these 4 to get paid here in the end. And if I can get some scratches along the way to get this ticket to be a little bit cheaper, I would use the 5. Everything Bugs Me as a B horse.
Okay, we'll make that note in the notes that I send around to our In the Money Plus people. 2 of the ones I wanted were 2 of the ones that you had talked about, starting with Tirupati. You mentioned Jonathan Thomas. I mean, this one just turned 4. So I do think that's a case where that big win could be indicative of just one who's figuring it out. He's got her going the right way. I think she'll get a good positive trip in this spot. And then Eternal Rain, I think there's an interesting pace angle here. Second time in North America, fast early pace figures, really ran a good race last time. 2-6, the main ones for me to close out the card at Santa Anita and to close out this segment as well.